rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile, pants are off but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee, talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show, let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile, pants are off but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee, talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show, let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated, every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town but in a jest, morning whiz is always best. Time to run, morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Good morning, everybody. Man, let me get that straightened out there. There we go. That's a little better. How is everybody doing this morning? A little cold, I see. A little wet on other places. Man, sorry. That does happen. That is the one bad thing about weather is you never know what it's going to be. You can only predict so much of it. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Debbie Webb. Good morning, Denise. I'm just me, Cynthia Nollier. Hi, how's it going? Nolner, I'm sorry about that. I'm just me. Today is going to be a good day. Yes, I'm just me. It is going to be a good day. And we're here for it. We are here for a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful week. Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful week because it's just got to be. It's just got to be. You make it a good week, it will be a good week. And busy. Oh, yes. All the saltiness is going to rain free today. Mother Nature is drunk. She needs to go to hell home. That's right, Denise. Absolutely right. What we have here today is the DEI Death Watch Volume 4. What to expect when expecting a DEI layoff. Racist, race-neutral environmental justice program eliminated. From Trump's DEI purge sweeps up a race-neutral environmental justice program via the American Prospect. Emphasis is added. President Donald Trump eliminated the Justice 40 program on day one of his second term, lumping it alongside programs to address racial equity that have been targeted in the White House's campaign against DEI. Now, this is despite the fact that the initiative was focused entirely on low-income and under-resourced communities explicitly, excluding any consideration of race, and was designed that way to insulate it from the alleged reverse discrimination arguments that undergird much of Trump's policy. The initiative excluded race and was instead carefully calibrated to comply with the colorblind principles underlying the Supreme Court's 2023 ruling that outlawed affirmative action. Note the placement of DEI in quotation marks, suggesting that DEI somehow doesn't exist or is a right-wing conspiracy theory. Consider that. Just a year ago, propaganda ragged like the American Prospect would be rather than denying anti-white racism in government programs, explicitly lauding it. Proof we've entered a new paradigm. For the record, this exact program in question, Justice 40, was explicitly marketed as racist when it was announced back in 2021 via Resources Defense Council. What lovely and innocuous sounding name, emphasis again is added. In what could potentially be a turning point in the fight against environmental racism, President Biden has promised to allocate 40% of the benefits from federal climate investments to disadvantaged communities. Such a commitment, known as Justice 40, is long overdue, but now the real work begins, ensuring the funds get to the people who need it the most while being as effective as possible in righting historical wrongs and helping communities thrive. At any rate, methinks the lady doth protestest too muchish. If Justice 40 wasn't racist, the very fact that its apologists have pled that it's allegedly race neutral now that it's in the Doge crosshairs gives the game away. Everyone now understands that the environmental justice, or whatever euphemism that liberal social engineers concoct, is virtually guaranteed to discriminate against the white people. Every government program is supposed to be race neutral by default, full stop. If that's not a non-negotiable pillar of multi-ethnic society, racial strife is guaranteed. Department of Education, NGO, and Doge crosshairs taught white babies they were racist. I don't know what masochist liberal white women are going to use as an outlet for all of their angst after their government-sponsored BLM NGOs go the way of the buffalo. They'll probably just have to double down on the view and double their daily wine ration.
And I have two white children, two white daughters. They are 7 and 9. And when I think about that question that you asked, what does it mean that's different? I think about how I'm really trying to force my children to reside in reality. So that means that they are going to really push through all of the white fantasy that is just part of what it means to grow up in a white supremacist society. As gets talked about quite a lot, is that whites have a lot of fantasy about what it means to be white and how maybe they deserve everything that they've gotten. There's a lack of history. Their children are very innocent, and that innocence follows them throughout their lives, through schooling and in every single institution. Whereas children of color are, even in some cases, as Ferguson studied, are adultified at very young ages, not even seen as children, as innocents that deserve loving correction or the same nurturing. And so
who's adultifying children? I mean, I only have seen the adultifying on the left side of the aisle, where they're telling children, no, it's okay to do and misbehave in certain ways. That's adultifying children in some of the worst possible ways. No, it's okay that my child wants to be an opposite gender than what they were born because my child is so smart. No, children need to be taught. Just like children are taught racism is not something that's just inherent that all of a sudden, ooh, they wake up and they're racist. No, that's not how it works. That comes from really bad teaching of parents.
When I think about how to interrupt that with my own children, it comes up in many different ways. One of the things I think that white parents need to not be afraid to do, and which I know that they are, is to actually name racism as a power dynamic between white people and people of color.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not how that works. What to expect when expecting a DEI layoff? Reveling in the emotional anguish of others is probably wrong, but if anyone ever deserved emotional anguish, it's the DEI goblins that have infested every institution of import in the West while contributing nothing at all but the incitement of racial hatred for paychecks from foundations propped up by USAID and similar groups. So file this under gratuitous, and I don't know that word, it's Schadenfreude, I think, I don't know. In this post-presidential election reality, many of us are feeling uncertain about our jobs, especially DEI folks who have been seeing the writing on the wall for quite some time. It hurts to no longer see my colleagues and students, my community every day when I come to work. It was difficult to see former colleagues with tears in their eyes as we cleared out our offices and closed this chapter in our lives so abruptly. The physical space felt like a ghost town, a painful reminder of the community torn apart. Reliving these moments of the past leaves me unsettled as to the harm I'm experienced at the hands of the institution. While resources focus on next steps for job seekers, few address the emotional labor required to rebuild from such an experience. This pain and upheaval should be recognized not only for those laid off, but for everyone affected by the instability it creates. And she's teaching is more trouble for these kids. That is absolutely right, Debbie. That kind of teaching is really, really bad. What Marxist delusion? That is the that's a branch of the United States government that's building into that kind of hatred. And shutting down places like the USAID is a perfect example. Perfect example of why this is insane to a lot of people. The the wonderful USAID fallout in its critical mass, as predicted about a week ago, which was not some kind of Nostradamus tier divination, that we'd only just begun to see geopolitical fallout from the Doge revelations due to what the USAID has been doing across the globe in the name of promoting democracy. Since then, many more nation states have publicly and loudly denounced the American government's nefarious social and political engineering projects through USAID. Backing up, this pushback has been in the pipeline for a very long time based on multiple conversations with everyday people on different continents. I know this to be a fact. The world has long been aware of the degenerate social engineering projects bankrolled by the neoliberal technocrats at USAID, and they don't appreciate them. Russia kicked USAID out over a decade ago. The United States Agency for International Development, known as USAID, has announced it will close its offices in Russia following an order. This is in 2012 via the BBC. The Russian government gave us until 1 October to close the mission, accusing it of meddling in politics. USAID has worked in Russia for 2 decades, spending nearly 33 billion. That's 1.8 billion euros on aid and democratic programs. The expulsion follows a government crackdown on pro-democracy groups. The decision was taken mainly because the work of the agency's officials far from always have responded to the state's goals of development and humanitarian cooperation. We're talking about attempts to influence political processes through its grants, the foreign ministry said in a statement. The reason, however, is that smaller, weaker countries did at the same time is precisely because they are smaller and weaker. They understood well the fate of befell Muammar Gaddafi, so many others who defined the edicts of former state government girl boss Hillary Clinton and took it to a warning that it was. Yeah, listen via CBS.
Yeah, apparently so. And then I'll see you
tomorrow. Thanks.
Wow. Huh.
Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. Yeah. Unconfirmed. No.
What up?
Unconfirmed reports about Gaddafi being captured.
Really?
Unconfirmed. Yeah. We've had too many. We've had a bunch of those before. We've had, have had him captured a couple of times.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed reports.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
Uh-huh. They bided their time, therefore, until an opportune moment came around to give us USAID the same boot that Russia did. And that time is now. Let me see if I can get my words right. For asshole leaders worldwide, the agency's dismantling represents a potential retreat of American democratic influence. In Hungary, the Trump-allied Prime Minister Viktor Orban, fresh from December meetings with Trump and Elon Musk, celebrated what he termed the end of globalist Soros organizations. El Salvador's leader, Nayib Bukele, joined in, accusing the agency of funding opposition groups and NGOs with political agendas and destabilizing movements in Belarus. That country's president, Alexander Lukashenko, framed Donald Trump's foreign aid freeze as a response to his calls for a reset of bilateral relations. Nicaragua's state media, controlled by the family of the president, Daniel Ortega, declared that Trump's turned off the faucet for what they labeled terrorists. Venezuela's interior minister, Diosdado Cabello, announced plans to investigate the agency, alleging that the primary elections of the Venezuelan opposition were paid by USAID. And in Azerbaijan, I could be wrong, authorities had already preemptively refused to renew the cooperation agreement, explicitly challenging the agency's political motivations. Hungary is a democracy. Viktor Orban is the legitimately elected leader of that democracy, a fact not disputed by the State Department. He enjoys almost a 60% approval rating. Nonetheless, corporate state media in the West relentlessly smears him as a dictator simply because he believes in national sovereignty and not allowing USAID to defile his country's civil society with humanitarian aid, like funding for transgender operas. The liberal world order is dying, is long overdue. Rachel Maddow and company's protestations are its death rattle. And if you don't believe that there's some issues going on with USAID, well, this guy right here will explain it quite well for you.
Stopped. Doesn't matter. You have a contract. So, Turquoise Mountain, which my wife Shoshana runs, has a contract, had another $1 million to go. Money just stops. Stopped. Doesn't matter. You have a contract. So, Turquoise Mountain, which my wife Shoshana runs, has a contract, had another $1 million to go. Money just stops.
You hear that? His wife has a contract, $1 million contract, and boom, USAID gets shut down, and boom, away it goes. This is where these people are running. This is why they're so fearful now of what exactly is happening with Trump. Wow, how he's shutting these things down. And that's not all he's shutting down. Now you've got these, TikTokers, influencers, or whatever that spend their time getting so excited to drop their little TikTok things, and their tears of salt are just absolutely amazing.
My mom just got deported. My mom just got deported.
Oh, let me wipe those tears. And so tasty.
It's so not fair. It's so not fair.
Oh.
She's literally not a criminal. Like, she's literally just paid her taxes. She's literally just...
That's not what doesn't make you a criminal. Illegally jumping the border makes you a criminal. As soon as she jumped that border, that was criminal. Doesn't matter what country she's from. She came to this country illegally. That is a criminal.
We're not safe. No one's safe.
No one's
please.
safe. Oh my gosh.
Hug your loved ones, please.
Oh, your mom just got deported. Oh, so sad. Wah to wah to wah. There should be more of that happening. There should be quite a bit more of that happening. It is ridiculous that in this day and age, people are getting all upset. Where is she from? It doesn't matter where she's from. Yeah, exactly. Then come in legally. Doesn't matter if she's from Canada. It doesn't matter if she is from, south of Wales. It does not matter. There's a proper way to come into this country. And it has been long since established, and it's coming back. It's coming back. to people losing their ever-loving minds over this garbage that they tend to forget. They tend to forget what this country is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a beacon, not a place that people are saying, yeah, I'm going to come there and destroy every single bit of it. That's not what this country is for. And you've got these folks out there like oh, what's his name? Al Sharpton. Yeah, that guy right there. That really needs to learn some basic history about our country. Hey, you don't believe me? Listen to the stupid, and I say this literally, these stupid people and their not understanding. Maybe take some, history lessons there, Al.
One day, our children's children will read American history. And can you imagine our reading that James Madison or Thomas Jefferson tried to overthrow the government so they could stay in power? That's what we're looking at. We're looking at American history.
Does he not know? Has nobody told him this? Has nobody explained to him that's how this country was founded? It's strange to me that they missed this little lesson in just basic civics of what happens in our country. Actual history taught us that we went against the government to form our own country. We felt that we were being unfairly treated. So we sent out a nice little letter, and we started a revolution, and we revolted massively against England. They never made an Al Sharpton postage stamp because people would be confused as to which side to spin. God. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Thanks, Jack Buck. I appreciate it. You always want your birthday to be on Friday. Sharpton makes it up as he goes, and he's not too sharp. Well, considering he's called Sharpton, I'm surprised. All right. Rats off the sinking public health ship. RFK Jr. hasn't been in office a week yet, and we're already seeing the fruits of his tenure manifest in multiple ways. First up, we have reports of a bit of delicious self-purging going on at the NIH, as 2 of the 5 seconds in command have abruptly left the span of just 2 days as of February 13th. It's perhaps a bit disappointing that RFK Jr. didn't summarily axe all 5 and all of their capos on the first hour of his HHS takeover, but let's hope that he gets to them in due time. As extramural research director, Laura was in charge of funneling public money into the hands of researchers across the country for projects ranging in legitimacy from applaudable to fraudulent, a spigot that has been since turned off by the Trump administration and presumably has put a massive institutional strain on people like him. In that role, Laura was a COVID crackdown enthusiast from the start. A company man through and through, this will surely be messed by his also soon-to-be-gone former colleague and handful of suburban wine moms who put Fuji shrines in their lawns, but by no one else. As far as I'm aware, no blanket immunity for a 10-year period starting in 2014 was offered to Laura by the outgoing Brandon regime like it was to Tony Fucci. And hopefully Trump can kick Kash Patel on the sick Kash Patel on this guy before he slips the proverbial news. Meanwhile, in a story that will surely tug at your heartstrings over the CDC, which, if it's possible, is even more disease than the NIH, panic is set in among the staff while morale has plummeted via NPR. Emphasis again added. Staff at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are on edge this week as rumors of job cuts circulate. Employees are bracing for a significant reduction in the workforce that appears to be targeting those with the fewest worker protections. CDC staff who've gone through other administration changes say the transition has been unlike anything they've ever experienced before, with fewer meetings, fewer requests for information, and little attempt to understand just how things work. It's extremely difficult and traumatizing for federal staff to see reporting on this as if it's doable and legal, the former employee who requested anonymity told NPR. The CT staff I know and have worked for with more than 25 years are dedicated public servants and don't deserve to be mistreated this way. Ways like this, Trump's executive order nukes university CUF mandates. Promises made, promises kept, though some MAGA faithful have become fatigued with all the winning after 3.5 nonstop frantic weeks. 3.5. The Trump regime has kept up its brutal, impressive pace. Via the Hill, again, emphasis added. President Trump signed an executive order Friday to defund schools and other education agencies that require the CUF vaccines for students and staff. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the head of the Department of Education are directed to create a plan to end these mandates and end federal funding for entities that do not comply. The order helps Trump fulfill his campaign to end the mandates many schools enacted after the CUF, jib jabs were developed, and as cases were ravaging the country under his first presidency. I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate, he said on the campaign trail last year. Remarkably, as the signing of the executive order, over a dozen colleagues and universities across the colleges and universities across the country still cruelly have mandated with no true public health rationale the shots in order for their students and staff to attend class. The executive order concedes that the assumption of the mantle of HHS by none other than the dreaded anti-jib jab, not an anti-jib jab, RFK Jr. has pledged to clean out the fascistic rot that has infested the public health system for years. Legacy state USAID type media is none too pleased. Newly minted Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has expressed doubt about the efficacy of these jib jabs and helped spread false conspiracy theories that the jabs can cause harm. Trump has given every indication that he's willing to capitulate to Kennedy's theories. On Thursday, the president signed an executive order establishing the president's Make America Healthy Again Commission, which outlined policy objectives and established Kennedy as head of the commission. Language in the order hinted at conspiracy theories surrounding autism and even some long-prescribed psychiatric drugs. Kennedy's commission is directed to assess the prevalence of and threat posed by the prescription of selected serotonin, reuptake inhibitors, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, stimulants, and weight loss drugs. We're going to be awash in their tears shed on behalf of the pharmaceutical sponsors for 4 more years as they helplessly watch their techno-feudal edifice eroded. Let's all prepare to soak in that little bit as much as possible. As we've painstakingly documented here, Google's membership of PJ Media is out of control. This article is likely to be flagged as misinformation or hate speech or whatever alleged violation of constantly changing policy and demonetized by Google. But if you appreciate the independent journalism we offer, free of corporate slant or state censorship, consider lending financial support to their heavily censored operation. Get your 60% discount on your new VIP membership with the promo code FIGHT over there at PJ Media. Yeah, all I'm doing is reading what is written right before me. Oh yeah. I've got another one for you that's going to be a little bit nutty, a little bit crazy. What time do we have here? Oh, it's perfect. Perfect time. Perfect time to go grab just a little bit of coffee. Mine's getting a little bit cold. Let's see if we can get just a little bit of music in here for you guys. And I'm going to go grab some coffee and we'll be back in just a quick minute. So bear with it. And here we go. Be right back in just a second. Go grab some coffee.
my time to shine. I'm feeling the groove with these hips of mine. Hands in the air like spaghetti gone rogue. My knees are jelly and my hips just broke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side. Or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. My shoulders pop like a rusty hinge. My fingers point like they're on a binge. Twirl like a tornado, then drop real low. It's not planned, it's a shit sideshow. I've got the rhythm of a clock that's broke. My dance floor moves are a big effing joke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side. Or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Rig like lava lamp, mesmerizing glow. You can't help but watch me steal the show. I summon the shake, the shimmy, the twist, a mix of genius and a big old fist. You're drawn in close, your feet start to twitch, feeling the groove like a broke ass bitch. Yeah! Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side. Or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Now we're all in the shake, no need to be shy. Move like spaghetti and reach for the sky. We'll dance like we're cursed, laugh to a sore. Shizzy whiz nut reigns forevermore. So join the dance, let your weirdness unfurl. We're shaking ass, not a care in the world.
Oh yeah, we're back. We are back, and I'm going to translate this to it because I know some of you are just listening this morning. So I'm going to bring up, and I'll be stopping it throughout just so you can hear what Ukraine has to say. This is Zelensky speaking out about how he views Russia, United States, and all that is going on currently there. It says, firstly, a strong Ukraine.
Перше, сильна Україна. Вона
It has to be strong for any diplomacy. I want to emphasize again. It has to be strong for any diplomacy. I want to emphasize again.
повинна бути сильною для будь-якої дипломатії. Хочу ще раз це підкреслити.
Але США
The question from the reporter is, but the USA is not only by a potential mediator in the negotiations.
не лише потенційний посередник в переговорах, це країна, яка надає
This is a country that provides huge amounts of assistance to Ukraine,
величезні обсяги допомоги Україні, і яка може
which can encourage us to sit down at the negotiating table.
спонукати нас до того, щоб ми сіли за стіл переговорів. Який
What message did you get from Donald Trump during these contacts that you had with him?
меседж ви отримали від Дональда Трампа під час тих контактів, які у вас з ним були? Тобто
I mean, he has, as he says, I will become president and sit down.
він, як він каже? Він каже, я стану президентом і сідайте за стіл переговорів.
At the negotiating table, what does it looks like? What does it look like?
Як це виглядає?
Я думаю, що він так не каже.
No, I think he does not say that, is Zelensky's response.
Ми незалежна
He says, we are an independent Ukraine, and it seems to me that during this
Україна.
war,
І ми, мені здається, в час цієї війни наш народ
our people and I personally in negotiations with the United States and with Trump,
От я
Biden,
особисто в перемовинах зі Сполученими Штатами Америки і з Трампом, і з Байденом, і з іншими європейськими
and other European leaders have proven that with US the rhetoric of with us the rhetoric of sit and listen is not working.
лідерами довели, що з нами риторика «сідай і слухай» не працюючи.
And that this is not because we are like that, but because this is how we should treat any
І
country.
це не через те, що ми такі, а через
This is how we should treat any country.
те, що так ми повинні відноситись в принципі до будь-якої країни,
Any people, any leader to respect. This is equality.
будь-якого народу, будь-якого лідера. Поважати.
Any people, any leader to respect. This is equality.
Це, в принципі, рівність, одна з цих цінностей,
One
за
of
які
these
ми
values that we are fighting for
боремося
today.
сьогодні.
He basically says, no. No. Trump has this all wrong. We don't plan on sitting down and sitting at the negotiating table. That's his plan, is to just basically say, no, and just wait till Trump comes along, cuts off the spigot and says, I warned you. He's wanting to say this deal that Donald Trump is saying, hey, we'll help you out, but you're going to have to do something in return. You've got resource-rich country there, and we'll tap into it, and we will send you support. It's not a bad freaking deal to end the war. Of course, Zelensky has to say Putin is an existential threat to Europe to keep the money coming to him. Yeah, that right there isn't going to work too well, because Zelensky proposes a European army and Europeans pretend that they didn't hear him. Europeans gathered in Munich this week to attend an annual securities conference with number one topic, as it has been for 3 years, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There was not much talk about total victory for Ukraine. Previous conferences featured optimistic talk about how this advanced weapon systems or that one is a war winner. And as it turns out, Ukraine's best weapons are homemade drones and battle-hardened Ukrainian troops holding off the increasingly aggressive Russians with an indomitable will to hang on. Hang on for what? Hang on until America swoops in and saves the day. This is what Ukraine hopes will happen. The Europeans hope it will happen too, so they don't have to shoulder arms and fight. Russia is winning. The U.S. knows it. Putin knows it. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky, or Vladimir, knows it. And Zelensky is slowly beginning to realize that America is not the cavalry and will not ride to Ukraine's rescue. Both Europe and Ukraine are looking to the post-war environment, the possibility that once Putin has rebuilt his army, he will invade again. This is not a country that wants peace, Zelensky said of Russia. It's not preparing for dialogue. Everyone in Europe knows it. The question is what to do about it. We must build the armed forces of Europe so that Europe's future depends only on Europeans and decisions on Europe are made in Europe, Zelensky told the Munich Security Conference in Germany. Europe has to become self-sufficient, united by common strengths, he continued. Let's be honest now. We can't rule out the possibility that America might say no to Europe on issues that threaten it. Trump is presenting NATO and Europe with the stark choice of getting serious about their collective defense and defending Ukraine or crawling into a cave waiting for the storm to pass. The reaction to Zelensky's suggestion shows that Europe is doomed. And this is via the Associated Press. It's unclear whether the idea will catch on with European leaders. Zelensky has sought greater military and economic support from the European Union for years and repeatedly warned that other parts of Europe could be vulnerable to Russia's expansionist ambitions too, while the bloc, along with the United States, has been one of Kyiv's strongest backers. Pockets of political disagreement over EU over its approach in Moscow and economic realities, including national debt levels, have crimped defense spending, have gotten in the way of greater support. In preparation for negotiations, the U.S. has thrown cold water on several of Ukraine's fondest hopes, including membership in NATO and the return of all territory that Russia has captured. Zelensky also wants security guarantees from the U.S. and Ukraine European allies. We cannot agree to a ceasefire without real security guarantees, he said. Putin cannot offer real security guarantees, not just because he's a liar, but because Russia, in its current state, needs war to hold power together, Zelensky said. Well, Zelensky alluding to the changing dynamic in Europe between the U.S. and NATO. Ukraine will never accept deals made behind our backs without our involvement, and the same rules should apply all over Europe, Zelensky said. A few days ago, President Trump told me about his conversation with Putin. Not once did he mention that America needs Europe at the table. That says a lot. The old days are over when America supported Europe just because it always had. Indeed, a special envoy to Russia and Ukraine, General Keith Kellogg, says that the Europeans will not be invited to sit at the peace table. You can have the Ukrainians, the Russians, and clearly the Americans at the table talking, Kellogg said at a seminar. I'm a school of realism. I think that's not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen. The U.S. has contributed $75 billion in military aid and another $50 billion in financial and humanitarian assistance. Germany, the second largest contributor to the EU, has given $18 billion in military, financial, and humanitarian aid combined. The UK has given $15.4 billion. France, barely $5 billion. Zelensky's plea for the European army will fall on deaf ears because God forbid that Western Europeans should cut social welfare spending in order to defend themselves. Fine, let's stop funding NATO. Exactly. Leave them and tell them good luck. Now you have to negotiate. Have fun. Exactly. Yes. Can't believe flooding and happening in Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky. They need help. Yes. Yes, it takes time to get these things under control. These are policies that were put long in place, and the money isn't there. It's been spent on much other things. Much other things. But of course, Vance did have something to say to the Europeans. He said, free speech is good. Europeans said, well, this is unacceptable. You know, things are going well when the hypocritical and self-righteous European authoritarians are in a snit, and things are going very, very well. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke at the Munich Security Conference on Friday and took the opportunity to remind the assembled European dignitaries of the importance of free society. And the basic elements of such societies, including the freedom of speech and respect for a loyal opposition. In response, predictably, the despotic European leftists who hate freedom of speech and are busy crushing dissent are weeping and gnashing their teeth at deep-set eyes, man bad. The UK's Guardian was angry that Vance had been expected to talk about the war in Ukraine and common U.S.-European security concerns, but instead Vance launched into a brutal ideological assault on Europe. From that, you would think that Vance had mocked Big Ben, wooden shoes, and lederhosen. But what the far-left Guardian considers to be blistering and confrontational remarks turns out to be accusing its leaders of suppressing free speech, failing to halt illegal migration, and running fear from voters' true beliefs. Well, those are Europeans' most cherished values today, and it's no surprise that the Guardian's feathers would be ruffled. Vance argued that the real threat Europe faced wasn't from Russia or China. He said, what I worry about is the threat from within. Europe, he said, was discarding some of its most fundamental values. What really must have enraged the gathered leftists was Vance's proclamation that there is a new sheriff in town. And he added, democracy will not survive if the people's concerns are deemed invalid or even worse, not worth being considered. Vance directly challenged the efforts in Germany and France to criminalizing rising opposition parties, or at the very least freeze them out by refusing to cooperate with them, saying, if you're afraid of the voices, the opinions, and the conscience that guide your very own people, if you're running in fear of your own voters, there's nothing America can do for you, nor for that matter is there anything you can do for the American people. Indeed, that is especially true if America isn't going in the same direction as it was up until January 20th, 2025. To many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, Vance continued, it looks more and more, like old entrenched interests hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation, who simply don't like the idea that somebody with an alternative viewpoint might express a different opinion or, God forbid, vote in a different way, or even worse, win an election. Those words apply as much to America in 2020 as to the Europeans in 2025, but the Europeans were outraged anyway. AP reported that Vance also said no democracy could survive telling millions of voters that their concerns are invalid or unworthy or even being considered. Democracy rests on the sacred principle that the voice of the people matters. There's no room for firewalls. He was referring to the firewall that establishment parties have constructed in Germany around the anti-mass migration party Alternative for Germany, AfD, pledging to refuse to work with the coalition government and thus making it virtually impossible for AfD to form a government. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, that's funny, professed amazement at Vance's effrontery, saying without a trace of irony, if I understood him correctly, he is comparing condition in parts of Europe with those in authoritarian regimes. That's unacceptable. It is not the Europe and the democracy in which I live and I'm currently campaigning. Got that? Got that? Suggesting that Europe is sliding downward into authoritarianism is not acceptable, noting nothing authoritarian about that. Pistorius asserted that every opinion has a voice in this democracy. It makes it possible for partly extremist parties like AfD to campaign completely normally, just like every other party. Remember that this is infamous red and black speech in September 1st of 2022. Old Joe Biden claimed that Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represented extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Pistorius and Biden are both part of the same corrupt establishment that smears its genuine opposition as extremist in an effort to frighten voters away from that opposition. Also, like Biden and his henchman, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz played the Yahtzee card out of the experiences of Yahtzeeism. The Democratic parties of Germany have joint consensus, and that is the firewall against extreme right-wing parties. Vance also criticized European elites for opening the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants, which annoyed Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store, and speaks as though we are not focused on immigration in Europe. I mean, this is the big theme in every country, that we want to have control of our borders. Yeah, you too, but you don't. And there's reasons for that you don't wish to face. Trust me, I say this with all humor. Vance said, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. Well, we'll just see if they actually can. Hey, Captain, how's it going? Good to see you, Captain Kern. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Gnashing teeth, the visual makes me laugh. Oh, yes. Well, the Lockheed Martin's F-35 Lightning II stealth multi-role fighter is one of those developmental boondoggles that we've all become too familiar with. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Elon Musk Doge boys are looking at perhaps canceling it. Spectator's Teresa Mull wrote Wednesday that while in Hegseth's view, efficacy does not equate to funding cuts, he wants the DoD spending to increase. One quick and easy way to curb waste right out of the gate would be abandon the F-35 fighter jet. Fire every single person involved in his commission and put in place systems to ensure that such horrors never happen again. Seriously, the development of the jet was that bad. Although I'm certain that the entire program needs the green eye shade treatment from Doge, I don't think that Mull made the case about the F-35 is totally flawed monster that the Air Force, Marines, and Navy should cease using. It's a short article, and even shorter on specifics. One detail left out is that despite the jet's unspecified 871 unresolved deficiencies, the F-35 is the safest jet to fly in our arsenal. The Air Force F-15 Eagle has a lifetime Class A accident rate of 2.36 per 100,000 hours of flight, with a spike early in the Eagle's flying career and relatively low accident rate 10 to 30 years after reaching operational status, while the Air Force jet, the F-35, is meant to replace the F-16, has a lifetime Class A rate of 3.45 per every 100,000 hours. The F-35's accident rate is 1.5 crashes per 100,000 flight hours. That's the lowest for a jet ever. It's such an overpriced, useless hunk of jet that checks notes. Countries like Belgium, Japan, South Korea that weren't even in on the development contractor dollars can't seem to buy enough of them. That's one hell of an endorsement. Pilots seem to love it. The F-35's God's eye view of the battle space as its ability to share that data with many other platforms in the air, on land, or sea increases the lethality of everyone's fighting alongside it. That's a unique capability, and it would be missed. And another thing, while my wife is a former employee of Lockheed Martin, not mine, but this writer, she didn't work anywhere near the F-35 program. I own no shares of the company, but I'm more than willing to be proven wrong here because I believe two things. The first is that America needs the best jets and that our pilots deserve the best jets. If the F-35 isn't the best, then we need to start working on the F-36 or whatever pronto. The second is that American taxpayers deserve something better than the screwing over we typically get from the Pentagon and its contractor buddies, and that our entire arsenal needs a second, third, and fourth look. At the very least, DOGE should take a high-powered loop to the F-35's maintenance costs, while production costs have come down nicely. A fully modern Air Force F-35A without any fanciful VTOL or carrier requirements that the Marines' F-35B, the Navy's F-35C, is $82.5 million. That's for one. The latest version of the F-16, an impressive upgrade but still based in 1970s airframe, is about $65 million. Not exactly a bargain, but it's certainly in line with its greater capabilities. Still, maintenance costs are too high and readiness is too low. Maybe the mere threat of DOGE will convince Lockheed to offer a serious discount on those maintenance costs. If Hedgeseth and the DOGE boys do decide to kill the program, my advice would be to kill it slowly. Mill blogger and retired Navy officer Commander Salamander devised a rule about the procurement that goes something like this. Don't stop building the current thing until the new thing is ready to go. Indecisiveness and development delays with big-ticket items like the NGA-D stealth fighter and the Navy's Ford-class aircraft carriers have left us dangerously dependent on aging platforms like the F-22 and the Nimitz-class carriers that, frankly, we've built too few of. So if the F-35 needs to die, then make its replacement a high-priority, high-speed job. In the meantime, keep making F-35s, perhaps at a lower rate of production, until the replacement fight is ready to go. It's not a bad idea. We already had a bunch before the foot came. Oh, so someone came with what? That's weird. But speaking of aircraft information, we have air traffic controller whistleblowers. DEI hiring practices led to the DC crash. Imagine that. In the weeks since the tragic mid-air collision at Reagan National Airport, mounting concerns about FAA hiring practices have come under scrutiny. The tragic accident on January 29th involving an American Airlines plane and a U.S. Army helicopter claimed the lives of all 67 individuals on board. Democrats had a hissy fit after President Donald Trump weighed in on the issue in a press conference after the crash, during which he vehemently criticized the policies of the Obama and Biden administrations, which he noted prioritized DEI measures over safety. Naturally, the left wanted Trump to be the target of blame, not the DEI policies that they've become strong advocates for. And according to current and former air traffic controller whistleblowers, the FAA's focus on DEI initiatives resulted in a decrease of hiring of qualified personnel, likely contributing to the crash. These diversity initiatives were introduced during the Obama administration, reversed under Trump, but were inevitably reinstated under the Biden administration, bringing back the same policies that critics argue undermine the agency's ability to prioritize competency over diversity. According to these controllers, the focus on meeting diversity quotas inadvertently led to a staffing shortage and a less competent workforce. This reflects a worrying trend where qualifications are sidelined in favor of democratic or demographic representation, posing significant risks to public safety. Now, as PJ Media has previously reported, the problems that led to the accident weren't new, and near misses were happening multiple times a week. Just the news has more. In December 2013, hold on just a second. In December 2013, thousands of students who had participated in the FAA's Collegiate Training Initiative (CTI) program, specifically designed to prepare individuals to become air traffic control specialists, were informed that the previous scores on cognitive and skills-based tests, the AT-SAT, or which is air traffic controller, would be discounted. Instead, the students would have to pass a biographical survey before retaking the cognitive portion of the test. What the program graduates did not know is that only 14% of them would pass this new biographical questionnaire, despite half of them having previously passed a skills-based test and met all of the FAA pre-qualifications to be referred on the next step to becoming air traffic control specialists. Eventually, one of the CTI graduates whose career was derailed by the biographical questionnaire sued the FAA for discrimination in a class action lawsuit. Now, Michael Pearson, a former FAA air traffic control specialist with over 26 years of experience and a lawyer in a lawsuit against the FAA over alleged racial discriminations in hiring, told the news that ATC's failure to follow proper procedure led to the crash. Pearson noted that a conflict alert appeared on the radar, giving the controller 27 seconds to do something. He emphasized, when the conflict alert goes off, you take immediate action. Now, while much of the media is blaming the Army helicopter crew, Pearson argues that the ATC was primarily at fault. He pointed out that the controller didn't tell the jet that the helicopter was in sight, despite being required to, and didn't give safety advisories when the alert was triggered. He also criticized the flight path, stating that the helicopter route was horrible and the controller didn't apply the rules properly. The safety of our skies should never take a backseat to diversity quotas, as it's high time for the FAA to refocus on hiring the most competent individuals who can ensure the safety of all who travel through our busy airspace. Failure to do so endangers lives and may lead to more tragedies in the future. The question remains, will the FAA prioritize safety over social agendas, or are we destined to repeat these completely avoidable disasters? Crazy. We've got visits from kids 3 times already. Great opportunity for teens to make a buck. Isn't that awesome? Kids showing up, taking care of the parents. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh boy. That is a crazy one. I have to cover that in just a second. And let's see, double check right here. Oh, nothing would be better than having the morning briefing. Nothing is better than the morning briefing. Here we go. Trump's genius for trolling the Dems just keeps getting better. All right, another cruiser morning. Eden Brill was quick to inform newcomers that he was indeed the godfather of the Willamette Valley alternate creamery scene. Let's kick off this week with another romp just through how much fun things are now that the Republic isn't teetering on the edge of a cliff. Longtime morning briefing regulars are familiar with these weekend news hiatuses. While he's changed up his schedule a bit, he has to take a couple of brief glimpses at the weekend news cycle. It's not really annoying me, however, because the news had been rather entertaining since January 20th. Watching the Democrats launch into a rabid freakout frenzy over every breath that President Trump takes was expected. It's the various and sundry ways that he's triggering them which makes the spectacle worth keeping an eye on. Pretty much every avenue of attack they've taken in response ends up coming back to smack them in their commie faces. Their biggest fit has been about Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficacy, or Efficiency. Hell hath no fury like a Democrat being told that he or she has to be responsible with taxpayers' money. The recent load of chagrin was delivered via the news that a version of Doge was put into play by none other than His High Holiness in the Litterberg Barack Obama, which Matt wrote about. While I know that President Trump is serious about riding the Pandora's box full of wrongs that Joe Biden and the Democrats let loose on the country, we can't help but think that he's also taking great delight in torturing the people who did everything they could to destroy his life. He may be a historical transformational figure, but he's also human. Punching back at the people who got to take free shots at him for 4 years has to feel really damn good. Now, that would be one explanation for Trump's penchant for getting out of the office and in front of cameras more than his doddering predecessor. Wherever the president goes, the cameras follow. When Trump hits the town, it's not only in Democrats' heads, but he's also up in their faces. The constant reminder of the new Trump order are unavoidable. He's not out hitting ice cream shots like Sir Sniffle used to. Donald Trump does everything big. This is from the Red State colleague, Bob Hoge. Remember when Kamala Harris promised joy during her failed 2024 presidential candidacy? The depressing Malise plague campaign brought anything but, and she was soundly defeated. But you know who did bring joy back to Washington, D.C.? President Donald Trump and Doge chief Elon Musk. Have you ever seen two top political figures having so much fun? They're like little kids left to run around Disney World with their best friends in tow. Fresh off his visit to the Super Bowl, the only sitting president to ever attend, the president kept it at it on Sunday, hanging out with racing legend Richard Petty, taking the Beast, the commander-in-chief's armored limousine, around the track at the Daytona 500 in Daytona Beach, Florida, as he set the pace. There's an old saying that says, when you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. President Trump obviously loves what he does. Trump knows that these big public outings are mega triggers for the Dems. That's because they can't quit him even for a few minutes. Yes, people like us over here on the conservative side of the aisle are having a lot of fun paying attention to what our new president is up to. The haters on the other side, however, pay attention to every single thing he does. Democrats are straight up outraged junkies now that President Trump is back in Washington and being buoyed by a clear mandate from the American people, while those of us who voted for Trump are resting comfortably at night knowing that the adults are back in charge and the Dems are stalking his every move and utterance in search of their next useless tantrum. Because he is everyone's president, Trump likes to make sure that they get what they want. Given how much misery the Democrats put the country through for the last 4 years, they deserve all the self-inflicted, misplaced agita that they're experiencing. President Trump's experience on television gives him extra oomph when getting in front of the bright lights and big crowds. He's a showman who has great instincts, and that works to his advantage when dealing with these audience members who are grousing, even though most of who are in attendance are enjoying the show. He makes the people in the crowd who are having fun cheer even louder. And now for a little bit of things that are brighter. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Come on, you got it, little bunny. Quick learning rabbit. Quick learning rabbit. But there's some that are not like quick learners. Like this young girl right here. She's not a quick learner, but it will make you laugh nonetheless.
Honestly, if you're a young person traveling by yourself, just be so careful. I just went under a bridge and the troll stopped me. He didn't stop anyone else. And of course he asked me, do I have my magic beans with me? Of course, it's one fucking day. I leave the house without magic beans. I say, no, can I do a riddle instead? Yes. Okay. I do the riddle. Fine. And then I'm walking away and he calls after me like, oh, one more thing. And I'm like, what? And he goes, dragon. And I go, dragon what? And he goes, dragging these nuts across your face. To speak to me that way, with that crass vulgarity, when not only am I a lady, I'm the lady with the swagger and heart of an entrepreneur, and I will not be addressed in that fashion. Honestly.
Oh gosh. Oh, I love it. I love it. Sorry, we're on the edge of the wild and they show up here often. Yes. What is wrong with, I feel a weight lifted. I feel like somebody is actually listening. Yeah, Trump is living rent-free in Democrats' head and they're in meltdown mode. Yes, 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 they are. Yes, yes, yes. So much so.
Do you fucking liberals recognize that the main cause you're fighting for right now is for the right of unelected bureaucrats to spend billions of our tax dollars in other countries? That's the side you're on right now. That's what you're making videos about. That's what you're writing articles on Substack about. That's what you're protesting for. That's what you're filing lawsuits to make sure happens. Are you fucking stupid? Imagine if I had told you 10 years ago that in 2025, thing liberals in America would most be fighting for is for billions, if not trillions of dollars of their money to be spent in other countries on things that don't benefit America in any fucking way, while America goes farther and farther into debt. What if I had told you 10 years ago that you'd be fighting for the right of politicians to be able to line their pockets with bullshit payments to bullshit programs in bullshit countries? You wouldn't have believed me. That's where we are. That's what you're fighting for. And what you're fighting against? You're fighting against people who just want to audit our government, who just want to audit our governmental agencies, people who just want to see where we're spending money, where we're wasting money, and where we're committing fraud. And you're fighting against that. Are you out of your fucking minds?
Yes. Yes, they are. Yes. Yes, they are. Ah. But not as crazy as these guys are. Not as crazy as these guys are right here.
Here comes. You have to get it. Harley. Just hold it there. Hold it back. It's coming. It'll be there. It'll take a while. You stupid bitch!
This is not how you're supposed to treat your friend's wife. That's not how you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to help her out. You're supposed to help her out and say, I got that ice for you. But that is, I must say, pretty damn funny. Not as funny as this, but it's still pretty funny. Still pretty damn funny. This next one is pretty funny. Check this out.
It's not funny. You told me to dress like a cow. Not a cute cow. Two types of girls. No one's gonna milk my jugs. I have to walk in next to you looking like this. Okay, I'm gonna go in first. You wait 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mel Klump. I appreciate the $2 super chat. It really does go a lot to support this channel, which is, just floundering around on the mornings that I just find it so much fun to do and spend this time with you. And this is the kind of stuff that I would be looking at in the morning anyway, and I get to share my mornings with you guys, and that is always appreciated. Thank you so much. That is that $2 super chat. I'm getting right to the edge there on these things. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And I hope you're having a wonderful day today, everyone. It is pretty interesting to me to find these crazy kinds of things just for you. But let's get back into the little bit of news that we've got here. All right, here we go. Decoding Democratic doublespeak. Their master plan to defeat Trump is revealed. He was edgy, ethnic, and on the rise, a stand-up star on the cusp of pop culture stardom. His TV show was already a smash hit on Comedy Central. He was backed by one of the most powerful talent agencies in Hollywood. Soon he'd have it all: feature film, blockbuster comedy tours, international fame and fortune, and more Emmys, Oscars, and Tonys than he could count. Carlos Mencia was on top of the world. His comedy was fearless. No topic was off limit. And his sketch comedy show, The Mind of Mencia, averaged 1.4 million viewers. He was hilarious. And that's not just my opinion. That's also what he put in his own press release. Known for his unflinching and hilarious opinions, Mencia is able to connect with a diverse audience by pointing out society's hypocrisy, which has made him one of the most successful comedians in the country. And then almost exactly 18 years ago, February 10th, 2007, a lesser-known comedian named Joe Rogan confronted Mencia on the stage and accused him of being a joke thief. And here's the video.
I'm somebody important enough that he had to end the show by saying Carlos Mencia. That's who I am.
You don't know how difficult it is for comedy. You don't know that nobody supports comedy. You don't know that nobody.
If someone steals a riff from a song, that shit's in the news constantly.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers steal shit and make it on HBO. They steal shit, they put it on television. What are you saying? Listen, I know you guys.
There's 10 minutes of him lambasting Mencia. At the time, Joe Rogan wasn't a ubiquitous presence in media or the world's most influential podcaster. He was just a sitcom actor and reality TV host who was paying his dues at LA's comedy clubs. But while he was performing, Rogan noticed that Carlos Mencia was allegedly stealing jokes from other comedians, and the club owners were turning a blind eye because Mencia was such a big star. Rogan wasn't a big star, not back then. In fact, his talent agency, which also managed Mencia, fired Joe Rogan for embarrassing Mencia. The comedy club even banned Rogan for over a decade, and it didn't matter. Carlos Mencia's career was destroyed. Some wounds are fatal. Different industries and different brands within each industry have different vulnerabilities. That's why some transgressions are career killers in one case, yet the speed bumps in another. For Mencia, being outed as a hack, a thief, a fraud, and a phony was a lethal injury. His jugular was sliced and diced, his credibility was in tatters, and his career was no mas. But it didn't happen right away. The Mind of Mencia was still getting great ratings on TV. It was even renewed for another season. Carlos Mencia was still selling out comedy shows while poor Joe Rogan had to relocate to a different comedy club, and it took a while for everything to settle in place. Reputational bloodletting is a slow, methodical process. But eventually, if you lose enough blood, you're dead in the water. And this brings us to today's Democratic Party. Still licking their wounds over the election day, the Democrats are trying to make sense of the mind of Mencia, utterly baffled by what went wrong. They're like a golf ball in tall grass, lost. The giveaway in this interview, Representative Jamie Haskin, Minnesota, gave to Politico. The article, "The Top Democrat Speaks Out How the Party Will Fight Trump," gives us a sneak peek at the liberal playbook to stymie Trump, defang MAGA, win back Washington, and return to power, more or less, as Politico described him. Top Democrat in the House Judiciary Committee and former constitutional law professor Raskin has been tasked by Democratic leaders with serving on the Rapid Response and Litigation Working Group, where he'll help lead the party's effort to slow down Trump's agenda in the courts. Got it? Representative Raskin is the Democrats' point man. He's the clear-thinking, cool-headed political strategist who will definitely outplay the GOP, and let's see his master plan. Politico. When I talk to folks about what the Democratic resistance actually looks like, I hear a lot of frustration that the people feel there's no strategy of the Democratic side. You're just still getting your ducks in a row. Raskin says, "I think it's fair to say that the strategy is evolving, but I think it's very much coming into focus." Translations: when apologies say the strategy is evolving, it means that there is no strategy. Political. So what is the strategy now? Raskin, overall, we have to work on the short-term, daily basis to defeat and block every authoritarian, fascist move against the rights of the people, against the separation of powers, against the legislative supremacy, to be the lawmaking power. Midterm, we have to be focused like a laser beam on winning back the House in 2026 and cutting this reign of terror in half. And long-term, we have to be building international democratic solidarity to defend freedom against all of the autocratic, plutocratic, authoritarian threats against the democratic world. That's the strategy that I see unfolding, but there's a boxing motto: you get punched in the face, the strategy changes. We've got to roll with the punches here. Well, the translation is Raskin's last paragraph should scare the bullshit out of every Democrat because it's absolutely, completely, 100% wrong. The misquote is from the renowned American philosopher Iron Mike Tyson, while Raskin botched both words and the meaning. Mike Tyson was a short, compact heavyweight, and early in his career, opponents tried to use his lack of height against him. Sometimes they brag about their master plan to beat Mike Tyson, which would usually mean jabbing on the outside and clinching on the inside. Iron Mike didn't care. He was so fast and explosive, he'd walk him down and knock him out anyway. So when he learned that yet another fighter had a plan to beat him, Tyson shrugged and said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face." The quote referred to people panicking under pressure and abandoning their game plan. Raskin was so thoroughly misunderstood this meaning that he thinks that it's advising him to vacate his strategy when attacked. He literally couldn't have gotten it more wrong. Political. We were both here in Trump's first term when he was in protest every single day. People would walk past when what was then the Trump Hotel, and protesters would be there, or out in front of the White House, the Capitol, and the rallies would be humongous. Why isn't that happening now? Are people just exhausted? And Raskin says, no, they are humongous. I don't know if you've been going to them. I've gone to every one. There are thousands of people who came to the Treasury Department, who came to the USAID, the Department of Education. They're all over the country. Well, and the translation is this: with all due respect, Representative Raskin trying to convince a DC reporter that protests are breaking out all over the country. It's just that nobody can see them. It isn't a viable argument. It makes you look like a delusional weirdo. Does so much of this fall under the category, and this is from Politico again, under the category of elections have consequences? And Raskin says, of course they do. The problem is that we're in a Super Bowl style fight right now. The real fork in the road is between, Politico says, are the Democrats the Kansas City Chiefs in this scenario? Raskin says, no, we're the Commanders. We're going to win next year. Translation, here it is, folks. The Democratic master plan in all its unfettered glory, their plan is evolving. Everyone is out protesting, but they're all invisible. Their strategy is to get punched in the face and try something new. But rest assured, they'll win the big game next year. As far as master plans go, this one's not so masterful at all. And J-Hip, how's it going? Good to see you, J-Hip. Good to see you. Good to see you. J-Hip says, like the Matrix, sometimes I want to go back to the ignorance of not knowing where my tax money is spent. It makes me sad. Well, don't be sad. Be happy. Be enlightened and know that relief is coming eventually. It doesn't happen overnight. These things can't be fixed overnight. Things can't be changed overnight. You're going to have to constantly be vigilant of what happens with your tax dollars, what happens with all of the money that you've been spending into programs that are doing nothing to help you, but everything to help somebody else out. Is that how you'd want your money spent? Don't know. Don't know. But thank you also for the $5 super chat, J-Hip. I hope that things are going well with you. I hope that peace is with you on this glorious day. I really do. Because everyone's having a weird week. And it's about to get weirder this week. Not politically, just everything, the weather, people, it's all going to get crazy. Because we're at the very tail end of winter. And you've got March coming really, really quickly. And if you'll remember, what was it, 4 years ago? 4, 5, 8. What was it? It's been 8 years ago. Coming in March is when the whole world seemed to come to a complete stop. It's a crazy time of year, and let's hope we don't have that issue anymore. But let's hope that we keep our heads cool and our drinks even cooler. On his first day back in office, President Donald Trump signed an executive order aiming to end birthright citizenship for children born to illegal immigrants, which set the stage for a fierce legal showdown. In the order, Trump noted that the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally to everyone born within the United States and was meant to extend the right of citizenship to the slaves and their descendants. This directive has since prompted significant legal challenges across the country, but those challenges are likely to fail. Many Democrats argue Trump exceeded his authority with his executive order, positioning it as an unlawful attempt to reinterpret a longstanding constitutional guarantee that everyone born on U.S. soil is an automatic U.S. citizen. However, even the liberal legal circles, where there's a growing recognition that Trump may emerge victorious in this contentious battle. Georgetown's law professor Randy E. Barnett and Ilan Werman, a law professor at the University of Minnesota, underscored this sentiment and asserted in an op-ed that New York Times that Supreme Court has never settled the question as it pertains to children of illegal immigrants. The Supreme Court has held in the 1898 case United States versus Wong Kim Ark that children born here to permanent residents are citizens. They explain, but has never squarely held that children born to those illegally present are citizens. When the court addresses that question, which is almost certainly a must, it should consider the 14th Amendment's original purpose and the common law principle of jus soli, or birthright citizenship, when it formed the original public meaning of the text. The pair acknowledged that the purpose of the 14th Amendment at the time of its adoption was to extend citizenship to free slaves after the Civil War. Clearly, the illegal immigrant parents of children born in the United States are not enemies in the sense of an invading army, but they did not come in amity. They gave no obedience or allegiance to the country when they entered. One cannot give allegiance and promise to be bound by the laws through an act of defiance of those laws. Such persons can even be summarily removed from the country without judicial procedures of the sort that would protect citizens. If allegiance for protection view inform the original meaning of the text, then they and their children are therefore not under protection or subject to the jurisdiction of the nation in the relevant sense. When they finally consider this question, the justices on the Supreme Court will find that the case for Mr. Trump's order is stronger than his critics realize. Critics of Trump's order contend that altering the long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment would necessitate a constitutional amendment rather than an executive order. Still, many legal experts anticipate the Supreme Court will eventually settle Trump's executive order. Hence, Trump's chances of winning this legal fight appear increasingly plausible as arguments about allegiance, policy, and constitutional interpretation show that Trump is on solid footing. And that must really stick in their craw. You're going today to go pick up a imported English 6 months old in a Doberman. Owner paid $2,800 plus shipping, surrendered to the rescue. Oof. I hope that everything works out really well. Everything works out really well for you. I think I've got a couple more in me. Let's see. Congratulations to Joe Biden for his record-setting presidency. I don't know about you, but it seems like every time we turned around during Joe Biden's presidency, he was taking a vacation. The Republican National Committee has crunched the numbers, and Biden racked up an astonishing number of vacation days. Congratulations, Joe. You set a record with 577 vacation days in a single presidential term. Biden, 82, took more time off than any other U.S. president in modern history, spending 577 of his 1,463 days in office, or 39% of his presidency, on vacation, according to shocking new data compiled by the Republican National Committee. Well, the report does continue. That staggering tally includes R&R 43 of the 70 days, or 61%, after being pressured by fellow Dems in July 21st to drop his reelection bid. Biden's relaxation radio outstripped the previous vacationer-in-chief, George H. Bush, who spent 37% of his presidency, or 543 days, of the 1,461 days away from the White House. Biden's out-of-office radio surpasses time off taken by Trump, who spent 26% of his first term away from D.C., 381 of his first 1,461 days in office, records show. That's 144.25 vacation days a year. How does that compare to the average American's yearly vacation time? Paid vacation leave is generally granted to employees after they meet specific service requirements. For instance, 90 days, 6 months, and 12 months. The number of vacation days granted each year may vary by length of service. In 2024, 30% of private industry workers received 10 to 14 days of paid vacation after 1 year of service. After 10 years of service, 32% of private industry workers received between 15 and 19 days of paid vacation. Now, the Post notes that the average American would have had to work 52 years to accumulate the amount of vacation that Biden took in 4 years. That's one heck of a benefits package Biden negotiated when he took office, isn't it? Yeah. That's all I need to talk about on that one. I thought you guys would find it really, really, really interesting, but probably not. Probably not. Oh, I can't show that one. I really wanted to show you one, but I can't show it to you. But I can show you this one. I can show you this one before I head on out of here. Hope he finds a good home. And this will make all of you pet lovers just as happy as can be. It should. At least it made me, gave me a nice little smile. Here you go. Just in case I've got pet lovers out there, enjoy this. And then I'm going to head out of here for the day. Oh, look at him go. Go, kitty cat, go. Go, kitty cat, go. Poor little kitty cat. Everybody have a wonderful day. I will see all of you later today. Hopefully I've got a stream up and running tonight. After a long weekend of weird streams, it is bound to be a crazy one tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Everyone have a great day. I will see you. See you very soon. Peace out.
Bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.